I just feel good in my physical body and my life. And if I feel good in my physical body and my life, like all of us, we can be good to the people in our lives, to our fellow humans. But if we're broken inside, we can never help anyone outside of us.
Well, hello, prosperity seekers, and welcome to another episode of the Prosperity Approach. I'm your host, Allyson Chavez, and I am so honored and so excited that you've joined me, especially because I know the conversation that we are going to be having today with a very, very special guest. We're going to talk about what it takes to create a big life and what you have to let go of in order to do that. But before I introduce her, just want to give you a couple of quick reminders. If you're listening to the audio version of this episode, be sure that you're following the podcast on your favorite app. And if you're watching us on YouTube right now, we sure would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time we drop another episode. If you want to see what we're up to, head on over to allysonchavez.com and you can get some free meditations. We've got lots of free resources over there for you for your next level of success without struggling your way to that. We've always got really fun masterclasses and workshops that are going on, so you can get some information about that over there. And hey, if you or anybody you know does events and are looking for speakers, I love to travel and I want to share my message in every way that I can. So if you would like to make a connection, we sure would love it. You can send an email over to clientcare@allysonchavez.com. All right, so let's jump into this conversation. I cannot wait to introduce you to Lauren Guerrieri, also known as Lo. She is founder of the House of Lo, and she creates safe spaces to help every woman on this earth feel her power, live from her truth, find her magic, and discover a love for herself. She's all about abundance mindset. She's all about the energies of the earth. And we were talking today and I'm like, what do we want to talk about? And she's like, there's some really big energy going on. And I want to talk about like, how do we create our big life and what do we need to do? And I was like, Lo, I love that so much. So, Lo, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much, Allyson, for having me. We had you on my podcast a few months ago, and it was an epic conversation. So I know today will be as well. And just thank you for the work that you're doing in the world and the light that you spread. You are walking in your purpose. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. And likewise to you. So where do you want to jump off on this epic conversation we're going to have here? Like,
Well,
tell me first, like, let's talk about the big energies that are going on. Cause I know you're all about like the energies and the signs and like Leos and Sagittarius. And I know I'm a Cancer and that's about as far as it goes. So would love to hear your perspective on that.
Yeah. Thank you for asking that and creating the space for that. You know, I'm just a big believer that the planet is going through insane upgrades and shifts. There's no one on this planet that has any sense of what exactly is happening and what's to come, but we know we're living through one of the biggest times, if not the biggest time in history, because what I believe is happening is the energy of the planet is coming more into balance between the masculine and the feminine energies. So it's not gender, it's the masculine energy of purpose, mission, claiming what we desire, taking thoughtful action, and the feminine energy of creativity, playfulness, love, radiance, fun, and wildness, you know. And for a long time, the planet's been under a lot of wounded masculine energy, a lot of shaky, like been a shaky foundation. And that's what's really, when people think about the sort of events that are happening in our culture and in the world, it's all in service to this balance process that's happening. I know there's some people that are struggling and some people that are thriving and everyone in between. But the point is that we're all being asked to step into fully who we are and to create the biggest lives we possibly can, whatever that looks like for us, right? And so currently we are in August of 2022 and the energy is potent. So we're in Leo season, which is fire. And we're in a period that dates back to ancient Egypt called Lionsgate. And Lionsgate is the period between July 26th and August 12th, particularly with the frequency of 888. And on August 8th, which is this coming Monday, is the 88 portal. 8 is the symbol of endless, limitless, unlimited abundance, possibilities, our jam, right?
Yep.
Prosperity. So, but it's not just about money. It's a time of great, like we could quantum leap a decade during this particular portal we're in. The energy that's pouring into the planet is insane. I'm buzzing. Like my physical body feels like it's just buzzing, like the vibration. It's very
Mhm.
strong. And to put it in practical terms, what this energy is asking every single human on this planet to do is to step into the fullness of who they are, not to be who Joe Schmo next to them is being, not to be their past self, to be who they actually are right now and who they're being called to be in this life. And, big doesn't just mean more, big means I'm fulfilled. And I think that's what I'm excited to talk to you about today, because to create a big life takes a lot of discernment and it takes a lot of courage. And that's what Leo season is about. It's the lion, it's courage.
Okay. So first of all, I have to back up and say thank you so much. I love your interpretation about what's going on. Is that
Mhm.
all of the shakeup is in service to the balancing of the energy. And that first and foremost filled me with an immense amount of comfort. But I also agree with you that there is anytime that we're doing an up level, there are three things that shake. We shake up, we shake off, we shake out. And where we have this happening on a global scale, I feel the same as you, that we are only going up. So many people are like, we're going to hell and everything's imploding and it's destructive. I'm like, actually, we're going the opposite direction, but we're in this necessary upheaval right now because things have to shake so that we can raise and we can get balanced. Now, I have a question. You talked about the portal. How long is the portal open?
It's open until August 12th. The
Through the
Monday, August 8th is a very potent day. And I don't know when this comes out, but I would highly encourage anyone on that day to really spend time alone, because there's going to be a lot of auspicious things that happen. Pay attention to your dreams, pay attention to signs, pay attention to conversations and people that could drop in out of seemingly nowhere. It's very like miracle energy right now. Things that we would never imagine could drop in during this time. Money, connections, business expansion, opportunities to travel, opportunities to heal past stuff that we are being asked to
Mhm.
let go of. And that's what we just talked about before we recorded. Like, what does it look like to create a big life? Step one, we have to look seriously at what we have to let go of and release.
Yes. Like, and I love that. That has to be step one because you have to release before you can receive. You
Mhm.
can't just keep receiving, otherwise you can't absorb anymore. I mean, think about a sponge. It gets so full, and until you squeeze it out, all it can't receive anymore. And
Yeah.
so we have to release. So how do you suggest we do that? When
Yeah.
we're in that healing and we've been in wounded masculine and for quite some time, we're talking thousands of years here,
Thousands of
ladies. We're
years.
not like
Thousands
since
of
the
years.
60s, like it's been thousands of years that we've
Yeah.
been in this wounded energy. So what would you suggest that we do on that healing journey?
Yeah, thank you for that. And this, by the way, is hurting men just as much as women. This
Yes.
isn't a this isn't a men versus women conversation. I
Yes.
want us to come together. That's what actually the divine is asking us to do. So that's another
Yes.
conversation for another day. A lot of people, a lot of us fall into the trap of playing small in life. We fall into the trap of being small, trying to fit ourselves in certain boxes, trying to be quiet in our lives and not rattle too many feathers, cages, whatever the phrase is.
Mhm.
And I think what is happening in this energetic shift that we just spoke about is that it is a time we are living through a time when we're all being called into our greatest selves, our higher selves, if you will, to do the best we can in a human body with an ego that has tons of needs, to do the best we can to live from our soul. I just believe we're a soul in a human body. That's what I believe.
I agree.
And, it's like a lot of us have these deep connections to things that we can't explain, right? And so to create a big life requires, first of all, releasing and letting go. And that is a process in and of itself. But more importantly, it requires us to start making decisions from our intuition, our gut, our inner knowing, right?
Mhm.
And that's challenging for people because we have been taught and programmed and conditioned for centuries, to your point, that the answers are not within. And I know we all hear these statements, but like the answers are within and the answers don't lie us. But to live that way is extremely difficult still in our culture
Yeah.
because in America, we happen to be in America. There's a certain way to live here, and mostly it's about working and status. And it's like, I mean, Europeans come in, they're like, what is wrong with you guys? Why are you working all the time? So, and then it's also like there's a lot of broken relationships, whether it's family, friendships, romantic. partnerships. There's a lot of relationships that are being shifted this year, whether they're falling apart because they're not in alignment. So a lot of people don't play big in their lives because they let these relationships hold them back in some ways. They let these relationships let them play small. So the energy that does seem to be happening in 2022 thus far is a lot of like, because the twos are about harmony. They're about balance between the masculine and feminine, ironically. But like you said, in order for harmony to come, things have to fall apart. It's like tower moment energy, and I think people are very afraid to play big. A lot of people are playing very small, and I've been caught in this trap in my life, and I've finally stepped into saying, I'm going to squeeze everything I can out of this life, and I'm going to live from my own intuition, because no one seems to have it figured out. Like no one has this figured out. And I think humans, we want to know how it's all going to go. We can't. That's what we sign up for. We sign up to live in the present moment because we can't know what's going to happen tomorrow. We can't know when we're going to die. And a lot of people forget, and that like this life is very temporary and short. So like, why not play big in whatever way that makes sense for you?
I ask myself those questions all the time. And to your point, we're talking about like relationships that are falling apart. I was actually having a conversation with a friend about this yesterday, and she's really wanting to up level her life. She was talking about some of the people that are complainers and that she loves, and they have so much fun, but she's kind of at the top of her, energetically speaking, with her mindset and things, the way she's changed. She's at the top of her friend tower, for lack of a better word.
Yes.
And she was like, am I going to have to let them go? And I said, yes, you're going to have to let them go. And she's like, but I love them and they're such great people. So on the one hand, we're like, well, why not? Why not like live my biggest life? And then we're like, but I have this person who kind of is negative, but there's so many great qualities about them. And can I do both? Do you think people can do both?
No, because the truth is, in terms of prosperity and calling in more money, which I know everyone wants to figure out how to do,
Yep.
the only way to receive more abundance, whatever that comes in the form of vitality, freedom, flexibility, physical money, is to have space for it. And the reality is, these relationships in the human experience on this plane, relationships take up the most space in our lives. They just do,
Yeah.
right? And a lot of the relationships are not built on true unconditional love, because true unconditional love says, I welcome your boundaries. I'm neutral to how you want to live life. We live in a culture of conditional love. Like, you better validate me. And also it's hard to let go of these relationships because we're attached to a past version of us that was a match for them vibrationally. And as we up level, we're not a match anymore. And that's why we start to feel the friction. And then the universe steps in and is like, I'm going to just force you to leave this connection, and something happens. But what would it look like to consciously be like, you know what? The jig is up. It's time. We serve each other thus far. You go that way, I'll go this way. And I wish you literally the best. Like, I love you. Goodbye. We can't do that though. We have to like have these tower moments, and we hold, because part of the human experience, I think, is to learn detachment,
Yeah.
people are creating these big lives, Allyson, big lives. I'm in circles with people that are high vibrational. They are spiritual as it comes. They are enlightened, and they are making choices that are not logical and activating levels of abundance, levels of conscious love and relationships in their lives, and also levels of personal fulfillment that all of us dream of. And I have to ask myself, why? How are they doing that? By not following any of the patterns or the processes our culture speaks about. And it's because they're connected to the divine. They're connected to their higher self. They're connected to their inner knowing and what they're here to, their mission. Because I just believe, especially if we were born during this time on earth, we all have like a big mission.
Mhm.
And a lot of people spend their lives trying to figure out what that mission is. The energy right now, even with this portal and Leo and Lionsgate, is like, the mission may come in quick. Like, the universe is going to push people to be like, you got to get out of that job because you're actually meant to be a healer, or you're meant to be a speaker, or you're meant to, you know what I'm saying? Like, energy is going to push us if we don't make the shifts ourselves right now. So there are people that are experiencing a lot of these, like you spoke with your friend, they're experiencing a lot of like these intense moments of like truth that they have to face now.
Well, and I think too that when we find, and again, there's no judgment like I'm better than
No,
so and so. It's that our
no.
paths are taking of necessity two different directions because of the way that we're viewing life and the way that we
Yes,
view our own role that we play in life. And so it's not anything like I vibe too high for you. So I don't want anybody to misconstrue that at all. But I think also that we have this misconception to think that when we are ending different relationships, that they have to be filled with angst, they have to be filled with
right,
heartache, and
right,
instead they can just be this really natural of we're just not coming together as much as we used to
right,
because we're focused on different things. And so there isn't this like peace I'm out necessarily. It's just this natural dissolving that
right.
can happen. And it can happen quickly. It can happen in a really beautiful way that serves everybody in the relationship instead of like, no, I must cut and solder this whole relationship off and
Right,
be
right.
done. Now, some relationships we do have to do that,
Yeah.
but I don't think that has to be the case for all of them. At least I found in my own experience when I'm like, my daughter likes to say, "You do you, boo," like yeah,
All about that.
yeah, like you do you, but I'm also going to do me. And if we meet somewhere, then that's great. And if not, that's okay too. I'll still hold you with great fondness in my heart and in my mind, but also know that that has served its purpose, that served its course, and we're both better because of it. And now we get to open ourselves up to receive that next level of growth for each of us.
Yeah, it's really the energy of receivership. And think about it, like even just visually, it's helpful to see if you have a drawer and it's filled with stuff, you can't get anything else in that drawer.
Mhm.
Well, that's how our life is. When our life is cluttered with things that are a part of our past that no longer serve us, relationships that no longer serve us, when our life is cluttered with limiting beliefs, I mean, you work on that so much with
Mhm.
people. Like when our life is cluttered, there's no space for more money to come in. There's no space for higher connections to come in or better connections to your point, more alignment, more connections and alignment.
Mhm.
There is no space. We have to have space to hold and everything's energy, right? Money's energy, love is energy. If we don't have the space to hold more money, it will not feel safe enough to come in. It's that simple. And I think with prosperity specifically, prosperity means I'm living like the word prosperous is like, to me, it's big. It doesn't
Yeah.
mean more, because we know that's another version of scarcity. What it means is I feel like I'm actually full in my life. There's plenty. I'm excited about my life, God forbid. I feel like a lot of people perpetually keep themselves in cycles of suffering. I did this for years. I
Mhm.
worked for years like I was a workaholic. My body suffered. I never would let anybody in relationship wise. And I was extremely lonely for years. Like this comes from a very deep place for me. That's why I'm so passionate about it because I see the slippery slope that a lot of humans get themselves into where it's like they feel like they can't come back from it and it gets dark. It's not good,
Mhm.
and we're not here to suffer like that. We're here to learn lessons, we're here to go through certain experiences, but that's only for the greater mission we're individually on to help the collective. It's not, "Oh, okay, Lauren, you get to suffer in this and like ruminate in that for the next 50 years." That doesn't serve with anything.
Oh,
So playing, but the last thing I want to say that I just feel called to say is like a lot of us are scared to play big because of how we feel or perceive from our own perception that it's going to threaten people.
yep.
But if I'm in my bigness, that means that someone's going to be upset. Right? And
Mhm.
this goes into the boundaries conversation. This goes into feeling safe enough to be our full selves and feeling worthy enough to earn a big life, whatever that looks like for you. I just made a huge decision in my life where I put my stuff in storage and I'm going to travel for the next like year. I've been wanting to do this since I was very young and I never allowed myself to do it. And the universe pulled the rug out and was like, this is part of your mission. You got to go do this. So here I am. And the logical people are like, you're not buying a house, you're not finding a husband, and it's like that will come, but that like, and that's an example of making a decision from my intuition because there's no logic where that makes sense for me at this particular point in my life. I'm 33 years old, right? So, and I know that I'm being guided there because there's stuff for me.
Yes.
There's people I probably have to meet. There's connections I have to make. There's lessons I need to learn. There's freedom I need to activate. And that's my thing. The reason, if nothing else, anyone listening or watching, the reason to create a big life is so that you experience real freedom, real freedom.
Yeah.
And that's really what motivates me in life. I don't want to feel trapped. I don't want to feel caged. I want to be free.
Just
Yeah,
breathe that. How much courage is this taking for you right now, Lo, to
a
do
lot.
this?
This is next level. Like that's why I feel like I'm buzzing because I feel like my soul is like I feel like I'm expanding 10 years in a month with this
Mhm.
decision. But Alison, I know the other side of it. If I had stayed in my situation that I was in the particular space I was living, I would have gone down a very dark path, right? And darkness doesn't mean like depression. It means like we start to live from like our shadow. We start to be really irritable. We start to resent our lives. And a lot of people do resent their lives. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
why people like you and me are in these missions where we have to put ourselves out there and speak this truth to power, speak this truth to systems that keep people trapped in scarcity and fear. Like if you keep people trapped in scarcity and fear, which is what our systems do that are crashing down, we all got to just get ready for that. You can control them.
Oh, yeah.
And
Easily.
abundance consciousness is incredibly threatening to our culture and our markets and the economy.
Mhm.
Because what happens when everyone basically believes and knows they have the power within them to attract in what they desire when they are the vibrational match to it? What happens when we actually believe in God?
Mhm.
Everyone's preaching God and using God, but they're not actually living from a place of believing in God. They're using God to trap people further, And it's like for me, I speak openly about God because this is also part of the energetic shift of the planet, right? Humans have been using God, the energy of God, to trap people in fear. And that's what's shifting. And God, by the way, is asking all of us to shift that. So I just feel that we're living in a time right now where, I mean, even right now, my heart's beating so fast to speak that because I know how that's going to trigger some people. But the reality is like courage takes a lot of gumption in life. It takes a lot of like, I'm going to speak my truth and I'm going to trust that it lands with who it's supposed to. And if it doesn't land with some, that's okay. They're not ready for it or it's not meant for
Mhm.
them at the time.
Yeah, yeah. One of the things that I have done, and I have to have you back because we got to continue
No,
this
wait.
conversation. This
No.
is so much fun. One of the things that has helped me have courage because I was in a very small, tight little box for a very, very long time, and
Yes,
not only living small, but just like I was afraid to make a mistake.
that's right.
It was so restrictive. But when I finally laid that foundation of everything always works out for me, and only good can come of this, I think that is what helps us in a practical way to take those steps and to get into that courage that, yes, there's going to be that teeter totter time for
Yes.
sure. There's going to be like the weeble wobble, and some things are going to feel like,
Yes.
like where the floor drops
Totally.
out from under you for a minute, but,
Yeah.
but it's still there. But when you can just
Right.
continually remind yourself, everything always works out for me. Only good can come of this. It allows you to do things in the face of not permission. We just got home from living in Hawaii for a month. How dare I?
How dare I?
How
It's that's right.
dare I with
Say that.
this, with this economy the way it is, with all of this
You
uncertainty?
scared? Aren't you scared?
Yeah, and yes, I was. I had that. But I was like, but my heart is calling me. And so we're going to go. We're leaving for Ireland in the next 5 days. We're spend 10
Right.
days in Ireland. And how dare I? Like I have, and those voices aren't coming from my family. They're not coming from
No,
society. They're
it's
coming
within
from
us.
me for
Right.
sure. But it's like, no, I have to do this now. I can't wait for a system to give me permission because then I'm just a cog then, and I'm not living from my own integrity and my own intuition and my own heart. But that's what it looks like, is just everything always works out for me. Only good can come of this, and let's move forward. I think that is a powerful way to begin the healing process. I
Yes.
really love how you talked about you would have gone to a dark place, and that doesn't mean suicide, and that doesn't mean depression, but it means living from that shadow side, which is insecurity, which is
Yes.
fear of other people's opinions, which
Yes.
is that wounded part of us.
Right. That's
And I
right.
think you're going to have plenty of opportunities as you're traveling the world over this next year to do that shadow work and to heal
Right.
that, but in so much
Right.
light, in
Yes.
so much light, and in so many miracles. But oh my gosh, this has been
And when you
amazing, Lo.
I know, thank you, babe. And when you take the leap, you really are caught. And this is everybody has their own unique faith and what they believe in, but like there are forces that catch us. And I
Yes.
took this leap. I took the leap in it was like, the process took some time. So it was like May to beginning of July. I asked for support. I learned a lot of lessons even in that, being safe enough to ask for support from my friends and right and my family. And everybody showed up for me 110%, which literally brings me tears because that a lot of people are afraid to ask for support. And that's
Yes.
another big piece. But the last thing I'll say is when you take that leap of faith, it will deliver you into a reality that is yours that you never dreamed, that you only ever dreamed of. And that's what I'm experiencing right now. I made the shift. I took the risk because I said, I don't care what's good for my business. I don't care how many people I know here. My soul is asking me to do this. And I am experiencing more business success than ever. I am experiencing thriving connections. And more importantly, I just feel good in my physical body and my life. And if I feel good in my physical body and my life, like all of us, we can be good to the people in our lives, to our fellow humans. But if we're broken inside, we can never help anyone outside of us.
It's true. It's true. Oh, my word, Lo. Thank you so much. I know people are going to be like, give me more of her. So tell
Oh,
us where we can find you.
thank you. No, thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be on, and I just can't say enough how much I love what you're doing. So thank you. You can find me on Insta. Well, I have my podcast, House of Low, the podcast. There's a lot of episodes. I've been loving it. Instagram, House of underscore Low. I'm going to be launching a masterclass called Living in Abundance, and that's going to come out in the next couple months. So you can go to my website, houseoflow.co, and get on the list if you are interested in that. And that's it. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to your audience. It truly is an honor.
Oh, thank you. I know you're going to be one of the most favorite episodes that my audience has. So thank you for your energy, for your love, for your spirit, for what you have brought to this conversation today. You have blessed my life so much. So
Oh,
thank you. Thank
thank
you so much.
you.
And I speak on behalf of my audience. Thank you. We love you. We want to have you back. And to all of you tuning in whatever way you're tuning in, remember, prosperity becomes you.